The internet is a vast place. Nearly any question that comes to mind can be answered with a simple keystroke. Any curiosity can be quelled with a simple search term. And yet, when we hit enter and look upon the very answer we sought out to find, many of us experience a very peculiar kind of cognitive dissonance. The answer you sought out is grotesque and disturbing. And yet, you can't look away, and you don't know why. It's almost like coming to grips with our morbid reality is a task fit for no one. Joseph Roy Menthy, born March 2nd, 1955, was a nobody. He was neglected as a child. His alcoholic father died in a car accident when he was 6, and his mother had neglected her other 6 children while she worked double shifts outside the home. His upbringing was very poor. He resented his family life, so much so he would tell people that his mother was dead, and people in his life would be surprised when they would find out that wasn't true. Joe Menthy would join the army when he turned 18 in 1973. His mother said that he'd served in Germany, although he claimed that he'd served a tour in Vietnam where he developed an addiction to heroin. Though these claims are disputed and widely untrusted because it came from Joe Menthy's mouth, and he liked to embellish his own life because he felt so inadequate, which is easy to understand. Joe Menthy was 6'1" and overweight, and after leaving the army and getting tired of taking heroin, he developed a crack addiction, which he spent most of his money on. Unfortunately, his drug addiction motivated him to murder his first victim, Kathy Magsner, in 1994. She was a prostitute, and Joe Menthy buried her body in a shallow grave on the site of the factory that he worked. The body remained there for more than 2 years. He later said that he strangled her and dug up her skeleton 6 months later, put her head in a box, and threw it in the trash. You see, Joe Menthy is responsible for 13 murders. He was a prolific serial killer in Baltimore for many years, and he's infamous for the way that he disposed of his victims. Joe Menthy felt that he had to enact revenge against women. He viciously assaulted, murdered, and dismembered drug-addicted prostitutes and homeless women, all because his wife left him. And after he would kill these innocent people, rather than bury or hide the victims somewhere secret, Joe Menthy chopped them up, mixed them with pork, and served them as burgers to unwitting customers from his roadside barbecue stand in Maryland. Over time, he would augment and improve this new method of disposing bodies. Instead of tossing them into the river, Menthy brought the bodies home. There, he dismembered them and stored the meatiest parts of them in his freezer, burying the unusable parts in a truck lot owned by a pallet company he worked for. And back home, after defrosting the parts, he mixed the prostitute's flesh with a mixture of beef and pork, forming it into nice little patties. On weekends, he would sell these little patties out of his small barbecue stand he opened at the side of the road. For weeks before his inevitable capture, unwitting passersby, truckers, and townies would all consume bits of human flesh. Joe Menthy probably thought this was a good idea because all of the evidence was literally being eaten by other people. But a lot of people feel differently. A lot of people think that this was a method of hiding corpses in the beginning, but then became something more perverse and terrible. He most likely got a kick out of watching people eat his victims. He would be caught in 1996 because a victim that he tried to kill escaped. He was found guilty of multiple counts of murder and sentenced to death, which was overturned in 2000 and changed to 2 life sentences. In 2017, he was found dead in his prison cell. During his trial, he offered a confession willingly. He was quoted saying, "The only thing I feel bad about any of this is that I didn't get to murder the 2 motherfuckers I was really after. And that was my ex-old lady and the bastard she got hooked up with. So the next time you're riding down the road and you happen to see an open pit beef stand that you've never seen before, make sure you think about this story before you take a bite of that sandwich." Have you ever been close to a tornado? If not, this next story might give you an idea of just how powerful they are and how terrifying they are. On May 27, 1997, in Gerald, Texas, a Category F4 tornado developed, and many people captured it on film. In the beginning of the storm, many people didn't treat the tornado with respect. It looked relatively weak and something that was going to disappear in a few hours.
Is it gonna come back down though, or is it gonna stay up?
It's dissipating, just going back up.
Out here in Waco, I had a flat tire and I pulled over and damn tornado.
Yes. Okay, let's hit some quick things real quick.
Bunch of the truck drivers and news crews over here and stuff.
Okay, interview you real quick?
Yeah, sure.
What'd you think of that thing?
You think it's a little bit wild, man? I think it looks like it's gonna come this way and it's turning the other way.
What were your feelings when you first saw it?
I was scared a little bit. I don't know what the thing's gonna do. I seen the movie Twister, that's all I know.
Were you scared?
A little bit.
I guess when you first saw it, what did you do in terms of like, were you concerned for your safety?
I didn't even know. I was sitting in the truck driver because I had the U-Haul and they had got a flat tire and I pulled over and I seen all these trucks pulling over. I didn't know what was going on. I looked over to the left and I seen the tornado, man. I started tripping out. I just jumped out.
Ever seen a Twister before?
No, never.
How'd they turn out?
Unfortunately, it grew. The tornado would go on to destroy 7.6 miles of the city and kill 27 people. One person who was fleeing from this tornado turned around and took a picture of it. He captured something quite eerie, and this picture is the reason why this tornado is named the Dead Man Walking. The image is reminiscent of a chilling Native American myth about how such a sight meant imminent death. The tornado is seen walking, destroying everything in front and behind it for 7.6 miles. And each step this tornado is taking is potentially ending someone's life. This is Sir William Whithey Gull, born December 31st, 1816, and died January 29th, 1890. He was a prolific English physician, and he has made significant contributions to medical science, one contribution being the discovery and classification of anorexia. Sir William Gull would be the first to coin the term anorexia nervosa, and in 1868, he had delivered an address to the British Medical Association in Oxford, in which he referred to a particular form of disease occurring mostly in young women and characterized by extreme emaciation. Gull initially didn't know what the cause of the condition was, but he knew that cases seemed to be mainly occurring in young women between the ages of 16 and 23. In this address to the British Medical Association, he referred to the condition as apesia hysterica, but subsequently amended it to anorexia hysterica, then to anorexia nervosa. These two drawings are the first people to ever be diagnosed with anorexia. Sir William Gull liked to use images like this that depicted what anorexia looked like compared to a normal, healthy person. This image is known as Miss A. It was drawn in 1866, and the woman shown is 17 years old. The girl was greatly emaciated, having lost 33 pounds. Gull noted that various remedies that he would come up with had zero noticeable success, but he did observe an occasional voracious appetite for very brief periods, but states that these were very rare and exceptional. In the case of Miss A, he recorded that she was frequently restless and active, and notes that this was a striking expression of a nervous state, for it seemed hardly possible that a body so wasted could undergo the exercise, which seemed agreeable. Sir William Gull would attempt to try to remedy this problem with various different methods, many of which failed, but laid the groundwork for doctors today to figure out successful treatment plans for anorexic people. At first glance, what do you think this is? Whatever this is important. It's in the middle of a completely blank room, and it has information printed on it. Maybe information about itself. At first glance, I didn't know what this was either, and like you, I would soon come to learn the truth. This is the Book of Names in Auschwitz. It holds every name of every known Holocaust victim. This image shows one name in particular, Erno Berger, and how it appears 31 times on this one page. The Book of Names serves only one purpose, as an eternal record and memorial of those murdered during the Holocaust. This is the Lawson family, and in 1911, Charles Lawson married Fanny Manning, from whom they had 8 children. The third, William, was born in 1914 and died of an illness in 1920. In 1918, following the move of his younger brothers, Marion and Elijah, Lawson followed suit with his family. The Lawsons worked as tenant tobacco farmers, saving enough money by 1927 to buy their own farm. Charles Lawson, pictured in the middle, thought it would be a nice treat to take his family to get their picture taken. And during this time, this was a significant luxury, especially for a working class family. So he encouraged his entire family to wear their best clothes. And exactly a week later, on December 25th, Lawson shot his daughters, Carrie and Maybelle. Before being murdered, they were setting out to see their uncle and aunt. He waited for them by the tobacco barn until they were in range and shot them with a 12-gauge shotgun, then ensured that they were dead by bludgeoning them. He placed the bodies in the tobacco barn. Afterwards, Lawson returned to the house and shot Fanny, who was on the porch. As soon as the gun was fired, Mary, who was inside, screamed, while the two small boys, James and Raymond, attempted to find a hiding place. Lawson shot Marie, and then found and killed the two boys. Lastly, he killed the baby, Mary Lou. It was thought that she was bludgeoned to death. After the murders, he went to the nearby woods several hours later and shot himself. The only survivor was his eldest son, 16-year-old Arthur. His life was spared because he was running an errand just before his father committed the crime. The bodies of the family members were found with their arms crossed and rocks under their heads. The gunshot signaling Lawson's own suicide was heard by many people who already had learned of the murders on the property and gathered there. A police officer who was with Arthur ran down to discover Lawson's body along with letters to his parents. There was evidence of him walking into a forest and pacing around a tree before taking his life. To this day, there is no known motive for why Charles Lawson murdered his entire family. This is Rosario Shelfo. She's 23 years old. She's married to Ross Shelfo, 26, and is a mother. After giving birth to her baby, she almost immediately told everyone that something was wrong with it. She would tell any nurse or anyone who was willing to hear that there was something wrong with the baby. Supporting this claim was Dr. Roy Hopper, who testified that Rosario called several times a day to report that she was afraid something was wrong with the baby. She continued to tell more and more people that something was deeply wrong with her child, and on March 8, 1953, she carefully bathed her 2-week-old baby, laid him face down on the cutting board, and hacked off his head with a butcher knife. She then told her husband, "I don't know why I did it. I just did it." Rosario was quickly convicted of murder, but was found innocent by reason of insanity and committed to the state hospital in Camarillo, California. After her sentencing, people simply stopped talking about her. Her image was in newspapers during the entire duration of her trial. People knew of her name. People knew what she did. But I think a lot of people just wanted to forget. A lot of people just wanted to move on. Who wants to continue to think about a tragedy like this? And to this day, really no one knows why she did it. Some think she doesn't know why she did it. It really begs the question how ill this woman was to be motivated to kill her newborn child with a 9-inch butcher's knife. What do you see in this photo? Do you see someone taking a break? Do you see someone exhausted? Do you see someone at the end of the rope? Because that's exactly what's being depicted. This photo was taken by a paramedic in 2015 outside of a Southern California hospital. It depicts an ER doctor who stepped outside to cry after losing a 19-year-old patient. Minutes later, the doctor walked back in with his head held high, ready to continue working. Hello everyone, I hope you enjoyed today's video. And if you did, let me know in the comments down below, and leave a like if you liked the video. And if you're new to my channel, go ahead and subscribe, fam. What you doing watching videos and not subscribing? And if you're old, make sure you hit that bell so you get these notifications every time. A lot of people wanted another installment in the r/MorbidReality series, so here you go. I hope you enjoyed. And as always, because these videos do get demonetized and age restricted, we have to thank those that make it possible. A big thank you to Kiri the Sloth, Light 1636, Broken to Asters, Jackson, The Business, Lady Laughs a Lot, Brett, Mina the Swift, Esau, Izuku, Destroyer, Trey, Muffy Lou Who, Noah, Vermont, John Robinson, Eva, Catherine Taylor, Hannah, Will Billy, and Dustin. Thank you so much for your support. It is greatly appreciated. And if you want to help support the channel, There's 2 links in the description, one in my merch store and one in my Patreon. Both funds go directly into the channel so we can maintain what's happening here. And as always, stay zesty.